as we pay our respects to the late Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer was the most unique manager we've ever had because he managed the most unique individual in the history of the business.
What favors I am to guide the career of The Undertaker, this Paul Bearer.
He was Percy Pringle down in Texas and had been a manager and a very successful one for many years, so he knew the art of how to manage.
Ravishing Rick Rude. At his side is his manager, Percy Pringle.
Paul Bearer was a mortician by trade.
I welcome you into my parlor.
As a kid, the white face, dark hair, it scared me. Before The Undertaker came out, and The Undertaker came out, and I was hiding underneath the covers.
When the lights come on, the beat still remains. Strength inside, glory to gain. Shades of light, merge into one. The broken sky, clear from the sun. What a stage, you and I, pushing through and knowing why.
I really feel that Paul Bearer had a great deal to do with the success of The Undertaker. It was just perfect. And with the urn, the ashes, and he had that high, shrivelly voice.
When the lights come on, heartbeats remain. Strength inside, glory to gain.
He loves the business. He loved his role. He loves The Undertaker. It just worked for him.
Paul Bearer is the catalyst behind this fire. That's a testament to how good Paul Bearer was. Whoever he was with is automatically legitimized.
He added a great deal to us. I guess he was probably the most unique manager in the history of the business.
Rest in peace.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of Pipebomb Radio here on Thursday night. As you hear in the very beginning, we are paying tribute to the legendary Paul Bearer, a.k.a. Percival Pringle III. He had quite a career. He was a manager of champions, and one of my favorite champions, I'm just a little biased because I've always been, anybody who knows me, I've been a diehard Undertaker fan since day one. But nonetheless, Paul Bearer, he came into the picture, nobody knew what to make of him because, you know, when Undertaker first debuted, he had Brother Love. And as you heard in the beginning there of the intro, that Brother Love brought on Paul Bearer. And it was just so unique. The characters just fit each other so well that it just clicked together. What better way to bring them together, you know? And from then on, it just was magic ever since. And they went on to create so many magical moments together. And I'm joined tonight by my co-host, my partner in crime, Austin. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Had our intro here, and we do have DJ Pringle, his son, DJ Pringle, who is a professional wrestler. Not yet. He's not on yet. I'm about to bring him on right now. And he is a professional wrestler as well. And we're going to have a fun show because we have some guests lined up, and let's fire away and bring him on.
Great.
DJ Pringle in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you having me on tonight. Hopefully we'll have some fun and have some good stories about my dad tonight, man.
We look forward to it, and we look forward to playing some good classic clips from his legendary career. And I have to say, first off, kudos to WWE because that tribute video was so well done. It was perfectly done. He even threw in his infamous "oh yes," you know, that he did at WrestleMania. That was just, I got to speak from my experience when I heard that they were bringing Paul back. I got goosebumps even just watching it because it was just an awesome moment. But going to be a good night tonight. Going to be a good night, Daniel. DJ, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll let you start off. If you got maybe a story, if you want to tell a good story about your dad, fire away.
I don't know. Just ask me some questions. It's been a while since I've done one of these radio shows. It's been I don't know, a few months since when he died is the last one that I've done. So fire away, man. I'm an open book, man. Anything you want to know about my dad's career, me, my family, just ask away.
Well, I'm actually curious how you got your start. I mean, obviously your dad was definitely a big part of professional wrestling for many, many years. What was it that you know? Was it seeing him on TV? What was it that kind of attracted you to become a professional wrestler?
One thing about my dad is he never pushed me into being a wrestler. He always told me and my brother, if it's in your blood, do it. And my brother he never really got into it, and he was with our dad being on TV, of course we were fans. Mm-hmm. But he never got into it. But on my case, that was a different story. My dad was running GSW, Gulf South Wrestling, out of Mobile, Alabama. He had his own training school, and he ran for about 3 years. And the door opened, and I told him, I said, I want to start wrestling. And he's the type of father, second, third generation wrestlers. They, of course, it's different for us. They're not just going to keep the door open and say, hey, sign my son. Give him a silver spoon, sign my son. I paid my dues. I paid my tuition. I put up rings for 3 years before I even got stepped a foot into a ring before I trained. So I was trained. I was actually trained the right way. This was in 2005. This is 2013 now. So I'm going on a little over 8 years.
And you're loving every minute of it, I could see.
Oh, definitely, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's in my blood. It will always be in my blood. And got to live on the legacy.
Absolutely. Now, just growing up, as you mentioned, watching your dad, was there any particular territory that he enjoyed working, or you enjoyed going to visit him, or whatever the case, whatever territory that he was working in? Was there a particular one that you enjoyed the most? Was it when he went to WWE? What area did he like, or even did you guys like seeing him on, or getting to visit him on, so to speak?
So let's start by I was born in Dallas. My first steps was actually in the sportatorium. Sportatorium wrestling. I learned how to walk in a ring. So like I said, it's in my blood. But I was only 2-3 years old whenever he left World Class and we moved to Mobile. So basically growing up as I remember was nothing but WWF and WWE. So back to your question, WWE and WWF was what I grew up on. Undertaker, Steve Austin, those guys.
So
Go ahead.
Growing up in the business, did you any wrestlers give you any good advice? Because you're growing up around them all your life. Any advice you can tell us that they gave you?
Stay out of it. But man, I've met so many guys. Stone Cold Steve Austin when he was in Dallas, him and Mankind and Mick Foley, one of the first two guys that actually held me as a baby. So I basically grew up with both of them because Mick Foley was me and my brother's babysitter there for a while. When my dad and my mom were when my dad and mom would want to go on dates or go see a movie or just get out of the house and get away from it all. Mick Foley was our babysitter.
That's interesting.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And growing up around everybody, it was Daddy's work. It was nothing. It wasn't like other people looking onto it saying, oh my God, there's Steve Austin, or oh my God, there's Undertaker. Me and my brother always just thought, it's Daddy's work. We were comfortable. We were comfortable with everybody. We weren't scared to talk to nobody. We weren't scared to be around all those guys and being how big they are and how little we were. We were never scared. We were just so comfortable around them because it was Daddy's friends. It was Daddy's coworkers.
Absolutely. And I know that following him on Twitter, as I did for many, many years, for the years that he was on it, he always, whenever he would get questions regarding The Undertaker or even Kane, he spoke so highly of those two that he adored them like they were his own sons. And that's what I was going to ask you as far as Undertaker and Kane. Over the years, even when your dad retired for a little bit or even took a break or however you want to look at it, I mean, basically took a break, really. Did those guys even reach out to you once in a great while to see how you guys are doing and so forth?
Oh, definitely. My dad always kept in touch with Taker, of course with Kane and Michael Hayes and all those guys that he had great friendships with. He never, when he stepped away for a little bit, it's not like he stepped away completely. He kept he kept his fingertips or his toes or something in the door where he went completely stepping completely away. He always kept something in the door, to keep to stay ahead basically. You know what I'm saying? But he always Taker would call every now and then. My dad would call him just to touch base and see how everybody was on the road and all that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, wrestling is a brotherhood, and I learned that when I first started training. If you don't have brothers in the wrestling business, why be in it? Because if you're in the ring with somebody, you got to take care of them. And like I said, it's a brotherhood. It always needs to stay that way. And it's sad to say that slowly it's not. It's becoming not a brotherhood anymore. Guys just want to stab people in the back, get their money, and leave. It's crazy.
And I also heard that that your father actually took part in quite a number of charities, and right there in Mobile. His heart was right there in Mobile for forever and ever and ever. He loved that city.
He was born and raised here, and he was sadly put in the ground here in Mobile. In Mobile. I'm over in Pensacola on the other side of the bay. I moved here about 6-7 years ago, but it's just a 65-70-mile drive. But back to what you were saying, man, he loved Mobile. Anything that had anything to do with Mobile Mardi Gras, Mobile sports, charities, anything that had anything to do with Mobile, he praised it. He never forgot his roots and where he came from.
That's good. That's an honorable thing because many people do forget after they become, worldwide famous. And one thing for sure was he was known, globally. And that's why I said, he was loved. And I don't think I remember anybody ever saying anything bad about him in any way whatsoever.
No. See, that's another thing that since he passed. I love sitting back and listening to stories of guys that went on the road with him and everything like that. Because it's so heartfelt and it's the way they talk about him. Because like you just said, nobody said nothing wrong about my dad. My dad was always talk highly of, no matter who it was. If they had heat with him, they still talked good about him. They never said anything wrong about him or nothing. And you know, that's hard to say about a lot of people in this business.
I believe that. I definitely believe that. But you know, DJ, I actually wanted to play a little clip here, and I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm almost positive when you hear it, it'll ring all too familiar to you. This is something that was taken off of Coliseum Video many moons ago. It was called "At Home with Paul Bearer."
Yep, I just seen it the other day.
Here we go. Let's take a listen, guys.
Don't pay any attention to him, none at all. Sometimes it gets very crowded around my funeral parlor, and I have to bring some of my work home. Oh, yes, I do. Welcome, welcome to my home. Unlike my funeral parlor, my home is a very, very private place, and this is a special treat just for all of you. All my friends watching Coliseum Video. Oh, my home's been in my family for years. Oh, I love my beautiful... Oh, excuse me. I forgot to tidy up. Oh, pardon me. Like I was saying, my home's been in my family for years. It's a place where I can come to relax. I can sit back, kick my feet up. Oh, don't pay no attention. He won't mind. My home sits right in the middle of a beautiful memorial park. It's a place where I can just relax. Maybe fix a drink. Oh, at my favorite bar. My favorite drink. Oh, yes, I think I'll fix myself a Bloody Mary. Oh, yes, a Bloody Mary. One of my all-time favorites. But maybe we'll have a Bloody Jane. Or a Bloody Cindy. Or maybe even a Bloody Tom. No, I think I'll just have a Bloody Mary. Oh, yes, Bloody Mary. One of my all-time favorites. What a wonderful way to relax at home. I knew that this would come in handy one day. Oh, yes. And then there's that special spot on my mantelpiece. Oh, where my sacred urn stays while I'm home. Oh, what a beautiful spot for my favorite urn. And then I like to show you my bookcase. Some of my favorite memorabilia. Oh, maybe Liberace tinkling the ivory. Oh, my favorite book, The Death of a Salesman. Oh, my beautiful plant. Sure livens up a home, doesn't it? Yes. Oh, yes. My undertaker. Oh, my undertaker. Oh, George. my caretaker, George. What a shame he didn't see that bus coming over the hill. Oh, poor George. Before I forget, there's one more thing that I'd like to show you. When I was a little boy in school, all the other kids were making bookshelves and birdhouses. I made a guillotine. Oh, yes, one of my prized possessions. I got an A on it. You could say I went to the head of the class. Oh, I love that sound. But you know, I've got to get back to work. Oh, yes, this gentleman has a very early appointment in the morning. It was so nice that you could visit my home. Maybe we could do it again one day. You've seen me at my best. Now, let's take a look at this.
That was awesome. That I could listen to that and get a kick out of it because he really gave 100% of himself into that character, and he did such a great job.
Do you actually know the backstory to the George character that he was talking about?
What's that?
You know, his favorite country singer was George Jones.
Yes. I remember hearing him say that.
Yeah, he put that into the script himself. He wanted to call that guy George, as in George Jones, to pay his respects to George Jones.
Now that's awesome. See, there you go. Never before told. We didn't know that. Now we do.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. But you know, when he was a manager before he came into the WWE, and he was in Dallas for the WCCW, he's such a good, you know, talker on, you know, and he could definitely put his guys over and be almost, if not equally as good, or if not maybe surpassing Bobby the Brain Heenan, because I know reading on his website he praised Bobby so much that he even wanted to be like him at one point, as he stated on his website. And I think he even almost made that character come to life perfectly. I mean, he was almost as devious as the Weasel in WWE as he was in the WCCW in Dallas. And that's what I think. I was curious what your thoughts were as to when he was given the chance to have the funeral parlor as his little talk segment. How did he feel about that? Was he excited? Was he like, I don't know if I want to do this? Do you remember anything about that?
I was so young during the field parlor days and everything like that. So thinking back, whenever he would talk about it, and whenever he used to show me videos and stuff of it.
Yep.
And he used to tell me, Undertaker and his stuff was never scripted. Never.
He did say that.
Never. Nothing that they did was scripted. Like you said a minute ago, the way he put guys over in both companies. He had to give the gab. He could talk about anything. You can put anything in front of him. You can give him a leaf off a tree. He can put that leaf over like $1 million.
And that's the key to a good manager right there, especially in the times when, like, the managers were still so red hot back in the early 90s, and even now, people say that the manager, it's a thing of the past. You'd think that you wouldn't see it anymore, but they're slowly starting to bring it back because of the fact that it's so much needed now. A good mouthpiece, a good talker for the guys, and that's what he was. He was truly, most can't even deny he was probably one of the best talkers in the business, and that's saying something because there's a lot of good ones.
He'd always say that the lost art, managing managers is a lost art, and it's one thing that made wrestling. Managers that could talk made fans want to come back and see that wrestler win or lose.
Absolutely. And Before I actually place a call here to one of our special guests who are going to be joining us here momentarily, I wanted to play something that might ring a bell for you. I'm not going to say what it is just yet. I want to play it and see if you remember it, and then we'll talk about that. Here we go.
All right.
Excuse me for giving 30 years of my life to professional wrestling. Excuse my son for being born in this great business. Excuse me for managing world champions, for traveling the world. Excuse me for being me. Joe Gibson, excuse me for being a part in your training. You make me sick. Alexander Hirsch has promised a match with the Pringle Dynasty in December right here in Pensacola. This army isn't going to be big enough to hold everybody. They're going to be lined up all the way to the end of Palafox Street. And you can take that to the bank, Joe Gibson. Daniel's on the way to the hospital now to have his leg x-rayed. The good Lord willing, it's not going to be broke. And the good Lord willing, he'll be here in December. But if Daniel can't be here in December, I'll have somebody here, Joe Gibson, because this is all she wrote. You just wait and see, Joe Gibson. It's all about you now.
I thought you might remember that one. You laughed because I think you might remember it.
Yeah, what a great angle. That Joe, me and myself, Joe Gibson, and my dad. That was in Ultimate Wrestling in Pensacola, Florida. That was one of the first angles that me and my dad was in together. And man, what a great time. Joe Gibson is actually a graduate of Gulf South Wrestling with myself, and he just to give him a quick plug, Joe is actually making his way to the Monster Factory in New Jersey in July to further his career. So I want to congratulate Joe very much, man.
How was it like working with your dad? It must have been an amazing, time to do that.
Man, him being in my corner was the greatest feeling, other than my daughter being born.
Absolutely.
And it's just someone that I looked up to for so long, and finally having him in my corner, and man, it's I don't know how to explain the feeling. It's something that I will never, ever, ever forget.
It's an indescribable feeling. You can say that.
Definitely.
There you go. But that was definitely a great moment. When I seen it, I was like, you know what? I know he's going to get a kick out of that. We got to let him hear that. Maybe it might ring a bell, or it can have you reminisce a little bit about that time, because I can imagine it was probably a good. What'd you say, when you first started out, roughly, or?
Yeah, it was. I was probably 2 years in, probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years in, and he was showing me the ropes of different organizations around here that was actually worth a damn to go and work for, and man, just what a memory, man. I appreciate that very much. That made my night.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. But what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to you know what? We're going to scratch that. I'm going to actually get the guest on the line who's calling in. The first guest is actually Brian Cage. I'm going to place a call to him right now. Bear with me just a moment, guys. And here we go. Uh-oh. I don't think we got him. Well, that's okay.
Hello?
Yes, can I speak to Brian?
This is Jim.
Hey, Brian, this is Felix.
One second. Hold on. I'm trying to... I got to wait for the guy out of the way. Is this for the radio show?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm at the MMA fight. There's an entrance right now. I got to wait for him to get out of the way so I can go into the
Sorry
quiet
about
area.
that.
You know what? Actually, is there a way? Can I just call you back like in 10 minutes? Will that work?
You know what? That's perfectly fine. You can give us a call back. We'll continue on.
Okay, perfect. Let's just do that then.
All right, bye.
Wait. All right.
Whew, sounded like he was having some fun over there.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's all right. That he actually was going to make some time. He had a prior commitment, but he's taking some time to come on and say hey to us, and we'll get him back on here in just a moment. But another story I'd like to hear is one that he talked about quite a bit, and it was funny because a lot of the fans, as some of the people like to call them, the marks of the business, were always mentioning the crypt match, where he was encased in a cement crypt or something like that when Undertaker was facing the Dudley Boys.
American Bash.
There you go, Great American Bash, and that gets brought up quite a bit. Didn't he, get encrypted into a tomb, and he would just love it because fans would eat it up because they really believed they were into the storyline so deep. Like, oh my God, Paul Bearer's back,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What do you remember most about that particular match? Did anything stand out to you at that point in time?
I remember. People just, after it happened, what people didn't know is they pre-taped all that. He was at home watching it on pay-per-view with us whenever it happened on my TV on pay-per-view. He was already at home, sitting back in his chair with the dogs on him and everything like that, watching it just like everybody else was.
That's so cool. I would have never guessed that, and I'm pretty sure Austin wouldn't have either.
No way.
Yeah. As soon as they got done pre-taping and everything, he flew home, got undressed, and watched the pay-per-view.
How do they do that without killing him? Like I was watching, and I'm like, okay.
Kayfabe.
Well, I know that, but the thing is that it looks so real, like what they were doing. I don't know what some magic trick they did.
Well, that's another reason why they pre-taped it too.
Yeah. Most of it was what I was told, and I don't know if he was messing around with me or whatever. And I finally figured out what was going on later on when I got older. But what he originally he told me what it was oatmeal and cement, and they did it up to about his right above his belly button, and then they took him out, and then they put a stunt guy in there and did the rest.
That's cool. But you know what though? If they can actually fool people into believing it actually happened, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Do that to me, mission accomplished.
Exactly.
But there is a little smaller one I want to play here real quick. It's going back to 1994, and it's Paul Bearer with The Undertaker. Here we go.
Oh, yes, Jim Cornette, Master Fuji. I hear you're having problems with Yokozuna. He's scared of the casket. He's worried about Chuck Norris. He's scared of my Undertaker. Oh, I wonder why.
Yokozuna, in January of this year, you and 10 of the top superstars of the World Wrestling Federation sent me into a state of unrest. And the creatures of the night that I vowed never to rest in peace brought me back for one reason and one reason only. That is to destroy you, Yokozuna, and take your soul to the dark side.
his promos, those two together were so awesome. I loved them back then. I was so into that character. But I just want to let you guys know that it looks like Brian is actually calling back. So we're going to go ahead and get him back on the line here.
All right.
Brian, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. We're here with DJ Pringle, myself, and Austin. How's it going?
It's going all right. Not too bad.
What's up? What's going on, Brian? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm doing all right. I'm I guess I'm a little worse for wear. I tore my tricep that last Evolve show in Florida.
Oh, wow.
So I've been on the show for a couple of weeks. I mean, still working. I got a couple big shows this weekend, but it's kind of a pain. Haven't been able to go to the gym, and it's definitely giving me a little scare, hoping it doesn't complete tear and need surgery. But such is the case of wrestlers. So.
Hopefully not, man. It was good seeing you down in Orlando, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it was great. I'm glad we got to be able to talk there for a little bit, man. A good time.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have a memory that you wanted to share working with Percy Pringle?
I just want to like if there's like a specific one. I remember right when Marquez said that we were going to get managed, myself and Sean Ricker, by Percy Pringle. I was like, what? That's awesome. And I remember the first time he came in for one of the Hollywood tapings, and he was asking a couple questions and talked to us. And everybody's cut, the promos and then the pre-pictures and everything. And then he went up there and he cut a promo, and just the presence and just his presence and delivery of the promo. Like, everyone just stopped. It was just quiet, and I was just like, damn, that was a freaking promo. I mean, like, he didn't even know us, you know what I mean? But the way that he just put it together and put us over, I was like, man, I feel like freaking $1 million right now. I'm a real deal superstar right now. I was like, Percy Pringle, the manager. This is awesome. So, that was the first experience with him, and I was like, just fanatical. This is rad that Paul Bear's going to be our manager now. But since then, he was just such a blessing to have in the locker room. Just such a nice, sweet guy. I mean, just always positive. It was a great thing having him around, and I think he really kind of lifted the morale there at the old Indigo Hollywood locker room, and real good guy. Always had nothing but positive things to say. Always talked to me about my just my personal life or my bodybuilding stuff, and just always seemed more invested in. I mean, whether it was there or even on Facebook or whatever. So it was just cool because obviously he's a little bit bigger name than Brian Cage, and he could just show up, get paid, freaking news manager gig and leave. But he definitely seemed to bring a lot more to the table and cared a lot more. And I was real bummed to hear about his passing because he was just such a lovable, sweet guy. And but I mean, I knew his beliefs as well, and I would not like to believe, but know that he's in a better place now and better off himself. So. Selfishly, of course, everyone's going to miss him, but I think it's, he's in a better place and definitely, better off in the long run.
Well, that was awesome, Brian. I appreciate you taking time. I know you had a prior engagement, and for you to take time to come on and just share a memory with us, and with DJ Pringle listening in, we definitely, we appreciate it very much, so.
No worries, man. Like I said, it was an honor to get to work with them. I mean, obviously, someone that I watched growing up and someone that, was definitely a huge character influence to me. And then I get to, really get to meet him and see him and experience, working with him, which is a whole nother level of just, being a kid and seeing the whole Paul Bear gimmick, see just Paul Bear, but then I realized so much more, he's invested in so much more history, obviously, as I get older, and how much more he's done, throughout the business over so many years with so many superstars. And then they get to have my name thrown in that list of people he's managed, and brought to title contention is amazing. And then throwing just personally how just awesome of a guy he is, which is rare in this business because there's a lot of scoundrels out there. But it was just an overall just great opportunity, and I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to have him work with us personally and professionally. So
that's very cool. But I will go ahead and let you go ahead and get back to your prior engagement there. But as I mentioned, thank you again for joining us. And by all means, I'll let you say bye to Mr. Pringle here as well.
All right, man. Hey, best of luck to you, man. Sorry for the loss. I'm glad we got to catch up a little bit in Florida. I don't know what you have down the road, but hopefully we'll cross paths again soon.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words, bro, and keep it up, man. I hope you don't have to have surgery, bro. Keep in touch, man. You know, you got my Facebook and everything. Keep in touch, bro.
I will do, man. I will do, and I appreciate you for the concern for my arm. And hey, you're more than welcome for the words, man. I wouldn't say them if they weren't true. So, like I said, it was that was an awesome person, man. So thanks for sharing it, man, and best of luck to you with everything, bud.
Thanks, bro.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
Good night. Take care.
Well, that was awesome. That was Brian Cage sharing a good moment, and he said it best. And it was just going back to what you mentioned earlier, DJ, that it was he didn't need scripts. Him and Undertaker,
no.
They come from the old school. They could just go out there and shoot from the hip, and it just captivates the audience. And that's what it goes back to what Brian was saying too. Cut out there, and the people were just kind of their jaws hit the ground, be like in awe of somebody who just cut a raw a promo that made you feel it. He made you feel his promo, and that's a gift. That's a definite gift, no doubt.
Definitely,
about that.
everything that Paul Bearer ever said, it was all heartfelt, and not many people can do what he can do and how he did it. And it was just the way he did it that captivated everybody that was watching him. And it will never be duplicated.
No, never again. There'll never be a Percy Pringle. There'll never be a Paul Bearer. But people can imitate him. People can keep the legacy going, like myself. But there'll never be a person like my dad. Never.
Let me ask you.
What a unique human being that he was.
Absolutely. Definitely one of a kind, as you mentioned, often imitated, but never will be duplicated.
No, never.
But, I got a question, just out of curiosity, and you don't have to answer if you don't choose to. But has WWE ever tried to offer you a contract to come work for them at all? If you don't mind me asking.
No, not yet.
That's okay.
What my dad always said is when I'm ready, it's there. And I'm definitely not ready. I'm definitely not ready. I've gotten an offer by TNA. I had a chance to actually go to OVW, and like I said, with the father situation, the father being in the business, being a second generation, of course it got cut short because he knew that I wasn't ready, and he didn't want me to go up there and lose my spot knowing that I wasn't ready, and I respect him for that. I wasn't, and I told we had many a night I would stay up and talk to him about it and everything like that, but I was never nothing, no heat between each other on that situation. Nothing. I respected that, and I'm doing the best I can right now, man. I'm just trying to get back in the gym and get doing the best I can, trying to work as many shows as I can, and I'm just he had a few bookings left, and I made a promise to myself and a promise to him, because no matter what, he'll always be with me and be always with my brother. And now I made a promise to him that I raced all my bookings, all my personal bookings, and I erased them all, took them all off my calendar. And I made a promise to myself and to my dad that I wanted to finish out all of his bookings that he had already prior arranged and everything like that. I wanted to go ahead and appear for him and everything like that, and go ahead and get it, get that taken care of before I, go back to my personal bookings because it's just something for me. It kind of helped out a little bit emotionally. That I know that even though he's gone, that I went ahead and took care of the rest of the bookings that he had.
That's cool. Yeah, no, because I noticed that one thing for sure is that you mentioned you went on to you and your brother went on to his not only his website but his Facebook and Twitter, and thank the fans for their support, because I know I can only imagine how much overwhelming support you got from fans. I mean, from literally all over the world.
Man, unbelievable. Man, to the emails, to the phone calls, to the Facebook messages, and the Facebook comments. Unbelievable, unreal. Just the kind words that people was like I was saying earlier. Nobody said nothing wrong. You know, there's always one bad, egg in the carton.
Yeah.
But nobody said nothing wrong about him. Everything was so respectful. Everybody thanked us for his career, and their sincere condolences and everything like that. But yeah, a lot of messages. That's all I got to say is a lot. More than was. He passed in March, and I'm still answering emails and still answering Facebook messages and everything.
I can only imagine. But yes, I did notice that, and you are absolutely right. And there was originally scheduled, what we were going to do is have Headbanger Thrasher call in a little bit later. However, being that you guys are in Florida, and it is a different time zone, well, at least for myself and for Austin. I'm actually in California, and he's in Louisiana. What I was going to go ahead and do, we're going to do the message that we have, a special message for you to listen to, but what we're going to do is place a call to Headbanger Thrasher here in just a second, because I believe he's got a message for you as well. And if you're okay with that, we'll go ahead and do it right now.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All righty. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, is this Headbanger Thrasher?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's up?
We got myself, Austin, and DJ Pringle in the house.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing great.
Hey, man, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Good, doing good. And sitting in Florida, loving it.
Me too. I'm just on the East Coast. I'm down in West Palm.
Oh yeah, I'm up on the Panhandle, up towards Pensacola.
I hear you.
That's cool. Do you actually have because I know that you worked with Paul Bearer in the WWF, well, when it was WWF, and
it was
got
good.
a chance.
I mean,
and you have memories you'd like to share with them? Share about him.
It's funny too, because before we actually got up there and wrestled as the Headbangers, I went up there and I did enhancement matches, and it had to be right around when Mark and Percy and just broke in with the Undertaker and the Paul Bearer gimmick, that they used to take the job guys, the extras, and they used to zip them up into a body bag and carry you back to the locker room. Mark would carry you back over his shoulder. Well, I was one of the first ones in one of those body bags. Between me and Dwayne Gill, I bet you we were probably could count how many times we were in there. But it was funny because Mark would take you and he would carry you all the way back to the locker, behind the curtain. He would set you down. And then everybody and their mother would come up to you and just tap you and push you and everything else. And Percy was always there to make sure you wouldn't fall or anything else. And he'd sit there and unzip you, and he'd be like, "Oh, them guys are always ribbing." And it was funny. Whenever he saw me, he would always call me Baby Ruth, because my last name is Ruth. So, and he would always be, oh, Baby Ruth, and, you know, he would see me and Chaz, and he'd go, my babies. He would always call us his babies and everything else. But the one time when we were wrestling over in Philadelphia, it was Super Bowl Sunday. And so Vince had the matches during the afternoon, so all the guys could watch the matches or watch the football game. So since we lived over in South Jersey, we invited all the guys and stuff like that to come over to my house and watch the game and everything else. Well, Glenn, Kane, and Paul came over, and it was so funny because my oldest daughter, she was like 4 or 5 at the time, and she was always so fascinated with Percy because of you know, his makeup and his face and the way he was talking and everything else. So she was never really scared, but she just didn't know what to make of him, as I'm sure a lot of people were like that with him. But it was funny. He was walking into the house, and you know, everybody was down the basement and everything else. So he's walking down the steps, and she comes around the corner and sees him walking down the steps, and they both like scared each other, and he lost his footing and he slid down like about 4 or 5 steps on his butt and everything else, and ended up on the floor right in front of her, and they just both like stared and looked at each other, and that was it. And then they were fine ever since then. It was hysterical, just the looks on both of their faces. But you know, I said this, you know, Daniel, you know, I can't. It's so hard to put into words when somebody touches your life like your dad did.
Yeah.
He was just such a special person. Whenever I think of, you know, the definition of, you know, what a legend, what an icon is, you know, people use those words and they throw them around so easily to just anybody and everyone. But you will never find somebody in this business that was more loved, more respected, more, you know, just generally, you know, admired than your dad was. And, you know, to me, he's the true definition of what a legend, what an icon should be. You know, it's just, it was weird because, you know, when me and Jazz started, you know, tagging again back as the Headbangers after all this time, he was the first one that I reached out to, and I said, what can we do to bring the Headbangers up to date? His comments were nothing. He said nothing. He goes, you guys are in. He goes, you know, don't do anything. He goes, that gimmick is lifelong. He goes, you don't change anything. He goes, you know, maybe buy a new skirt or something. But, you know, he always, you know, had a way to put a smile on your face, or, you know, pick you up when you were down, or, you know, go, come on, let's go get a Jack and Coke. You know, and that was him. I mean, and you know, I am just so honored and lucky to have known him, to be able to sit here and call him a friend, and somebody that, you know, as long as I live and everything else, I'll never forget him. Absolutely never will.
That was awesome. Glenn, thank you so much for sharing that. That was just that. I mean, literally made me laugh out loud. And I was trying not to be loud as you were telling the story, but that was awesome. That was awesome.
It was so funny because it's funny because my daughter still remembers that to this day, and I don't know if it was part of the act, but do you remember when he came out and he had that like broken arm and stuff like that? She actually thinks, even to this day, that him sliding down the steps broke his arm. And she's 20 years old, and she actually said that when I told her about Percy dying. She's like, "Oh my God, and I broke his arm." Like, no, you didn't. She still talks about that and everything else. So, you know, he even touched my 20-year-old daughter's life and stuff like that, and she remembers him. So, I mean, he was just, there'll never be anybody like him. You know, he was just such a special guy. And it's so funny. And the thing that I can remember most about him is the way he talked about his grandkids and his family and everything else. It was, they were always, first and foremost to him. Whenever, we would talk and everything else, he would always be like, oh, here, Papa's coming home. It was always something, about the kids, the grandkids, and, and even his dogs. So I'm like, they were his babies, dogs. And even through the years of not being, with Vince and stuff like that, he was one of the people that would always stay in touch with us through, the social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook or something like that. But, he was always, and always will be, just such a, an incredible human being, and I will never say enough how lucky I was to have known him.
Did you actually get a chance to work a match with Undertaker or even Kane with yourself and Chaz at all?
Never.
Like in a like a match maybe against Undertaker and Kane together, or even Kane and Mick Foley, or
no, I never actually had a match when it was Kane or Mick Foley or the Brothers of Destruction or anything else. The only time that I ever worked a match against Percy or anything else was the enhancement matches, and believe you me, I did quite a few of them. I was right up there with Barry Horowitz from time to time.
You deserve a pat on the back for that, then. I'm just kidding.
But they were good times. We could sit down at the bar with them and just shoot the breeze. He was happy as long as he had his Jack and Coke. He was good to go.
I've heard that about him. I've definitely heard that. That was his almost probably his drink of choice was a Jack and a Coke.
Yeah, his only drink of choice.
See, yeah.
That's awesome. But
hey,
Glenn,
Glenn, I don't know if you know this or not, but whenever he had his weight loss surgery and he was going through Chaz's brother with all of his supplements and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Do you know that he put a lot on y'all, saying that he basically thanked y'all for what y'all did for him, because if he didn't know y'all and Chaz and his brother, he would have been gone a long time ago before this all.
No, I did know that. I did not know that. But I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah, he put a lot of gratitude towards y'all and knowing y'all because of Chaz's brother being a nutritionist and all that kind of stuff. So he that I thought you'd enjoy that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. That blows me away because the place that I hold your father, the pedestal that he's on, there's very few that will ever actually be able to get up to that, and to know that he felt that way and everything else means a lot more than I could ever express or tell you. So yeah,
man, he loved y'all guys, and I did too, man. Because I don't know if you remember or not, during the summertime, whenever he was still working for Vince and everything, he would take me on trips, and I
remember. I think I was in the dressing room when Dustin taped you to that chair.
Oh God!
I saw that picture on your Twitter feed, and I was like, wait a second, I kind of sort of remember that, because I kind of sort of remember Dustin after that pushing you all around the hallways and stuff like that, like teasing. Yeah.
What a rib. Yeah, because Chaz was the one that taped me up, and Dustin pouring the water all over me, Man, what a rib. That's something I will never forget, man.
And see, you know what's so funny? You know what's so funny is I tell everybody about this when they always ask, oh, do you watch it now? And what do you think the difference is between then and now and everything? Back then, I considered, and I still do, everybody that was in that locker room, we treated everybody like family. You go up there now, and Daniel, you can relate to this from going up there. It's not like that now. It's strictly business.
No. Yeah, it's completely different. I don't know if you were listening earlier or not. I was pointing on the brotherhood because, like I was telling them, I'm going on 8 years myself of wrestling, and just with y'all being there so long, y'all completely understand. It has to. The brotherhood has to be there, or the wrestling business would not be here.
Yep.
And it was like I was telling him earlier. Whenever I would go on trips and stuff like that with my dad, it was totally different how y'all guys treated each other then, and then what the guys treat now. There's guys.
It's so funny because I tell everybody when we came to the some of the wrestlers' towns, like if we ever came to Philadelphia and I had my kids there, and you'd have China out in the arena playing hide and seek. You'd have Owen in the lunchroom coloring with the kids. You would have everybody else taking care of your kids while they were there. And it was the same way like when we went up to Canada and Brett brought his kid. It's in the documentary. Hey, go play with the Headbangers. Get out of here. It was like that. When Dustin brought his kid, his daughter there, everybody was playing with her. That's how it was. And we went to SmackDown when it was down in Miami right after WrestleMania and stuff. Well, it was back in February, and it was weird. Nobody was playing cards, because me and Chaz are really loud. So, of course, we're not going to be any different just because, we don't work there. So we're in there and we're being ourselves. And, everybody's like, shh. We're like, why? What's the matter? And it just felt like everybody was walking on eggshells. And it drove me nuts. Nobody was playing cards. Nobody was playing dominoes. Nobody was running around chasing anybody. It was just, it's weird. It's just exactly what you said. The brotherhood is totally different now.
Yeah,
totally different.
Yeah, with me not even being, we're not working for Vince or anything like that. Just flying up there, to Indianapolis whenever they did my dad's the 3-hour deal on Raw and everything. I haven't been up there since I was 13, 14 years old, and just seeing how different y'all guys treat each other and the way the guys are treating each other now, because it's so weird. Y'all guys wanting to work and wanting to be on Heat or be on SmackDown or Raw or be on pay-per-view, and there's guys that that are hiding in dressing rooms praying not to get picked for a Superstars match.
Oh my gosh!
Put me on Shotgun Saturday night. I don't care.
There you go.
Yeah.
I remember that show. Too.
That's how that's how you got yourself over. Is you got on those little shows and and you just shine. It's just so much different now. Absolutely.
Hey, Glenn, I got a quick question for you, man, real quick. I got they played a little deal earlier with me and my dad down here in Pensacola with with a guy named Joe Gibson. He's a buddy of mine that actually came out of my dad's school, and he is actually on his way to the Monster Factory. He will be there in July.
Okay.
Do you have anything that I can point towards him? Tell him anything that he needs to look forward to or anything?
It's funny, Daniel, because that school is actually run by, his name's Danny. And, Danny Cage. He teaches the old school way of learning wrestling. He doesn't do, most of these guys, they won't get in the ring for the first week and a half.
Right.
They still tear down the ring and put it up.
Right.
It's so funny because I tell everybody my first week of training, I had to put together a ring up, together and take it down probably 2 or 3 times my first week in the business. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell does this have anything to do with wrestling? It has everything to do with wrestling. A good mechanic knows what's in his toolbox.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. But you can tell him that, he'll do a lot of stuff outside the ring before he even gets in the ring. They do old school training. They do all the bumps and stuff like that. He won't learn how to do any kind of inseguri, flip jumps, whatever these young kids are calling it nowadays. He won't learn any stuff like that. He'll learn the basics. He'll learn psychology. And all the stuff that is missing nowadays, he'll learn that. But Danny is great. Anytime that we're up in that area, we always try to stop by. I did a seminar up there for right around WrestleMania weekend, and it went really good. We had 15 to 19 people there. It's a great school. It's in a great place. They do a lot of student shows once a month, so they get a lot of exposure to the business. So he's going to a great place.
Right. Good deal. Yeah, because he actually graduated from my dad's school. That he graduated with me in 2005 when my dad was running his little territory down here. So we got trained the same exact way. For almost 2.5, 3 years, we did the same thing. We didn't do nothing. We didn't step in the ring. We did all of our cardio. We got trained the right way and the old school way, and that's the only way that people, guys need to learn is the old school way.
That's right. See, but the thing that hurts the business today, and I know we're getting off track of what the shows really is people are forgetting that, anybody can buy a ring now and throw it in their backyard and charge $5 to come in their backyard, and they consider it a wrestling show. So these promoters, what they do nowadays is they hire these kids that'll work for $5 to $10, so these greedy-ass promoters can make all this money. It's so funny because people always ask me in chat, where are you guys wrestling at now? Wherever they'll book us. And you can't find bookers nowadays that are willing to spend the money to put on, quality shows. They'll put it on these kids that wear these, jeans and, sneakers and everything else. Not that, that there's not top guys that wear jeans and sneakers, because there is, but, he's also wore wrestling gear. But, these kids, and that brings down the indie shows. So, it hurts the business in the same respect as, these guys, they want to call themselves trained wrestlers, and they're backyard wrestlers is what they are. So,
A little off topic, guys. We're sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right.
We could go on forever.
That's okay. That's what the show is about. Just to reminisce about some good times and honestly, like I said in the beginning, Glenn, I really do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on and share a memory or two about your time working with Paul in WWF.
And what's so funny is there is no way I would rather end my birthday, today is my 44th birthday, than talking about Daniel's father. It's not a better way for me to end my birthday.
Well,
happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But, you know, like I said, there's not a better person. You know, I can honestly say that you would never, ever find anybody in our business that would have a bad thing to say about Daniel's father. And, you know, and in this business, that is so hard to find. I mean, because you can find somebody to say something bad just about anybody. But, you know, I can truly say that you cannot find a single person that would have a mean word or comment to say about him. Fan, also, you couldn't find a fan that would say a bad comment about, you know, and that speaks miles about the character that he was.
Absolutely. And, you know, these two fans that are on the phone with you guys definitely are two that can vouch for that. I never had anything bad to say about him. I was actually entertained from the moment I was, when he came in 1990. I was about 12 years old, and I'm going to be 35 this year. So, yes, I've been watching him for a number of years, and entertainment is one thing he knew how to do. He knew how to entertain people.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, everything that Paul actually said was heartfelt, and it was genuine, and you don't see that a lot at all, this, like, you know, with people in the business here, and it was everything he said, it was just heartfelt, and you couldn't put a script on that, what he said. It felt like from the heart, like keep on saying.
He always said, if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask me the question.
Exactly.
Hey.
He was a straight shooter. If you didn't want to know something, yeah, don't ask him. He's going to tell you.
He's going to tell you the truth, no matter if it hurts your feelings or not. So, you know,
you know what? You need more people like that.
Exactly.
Well, you know what though?
A lot of guys really need to get their feelings hurt, and if you ask my dad a question or whatever, and he didn't want to answer, he's not going to answer you. You know?
That's so funny too, because a lot of them need their hearts broken.
Exactly.
Hey, I have a quick question for you, Glenn. Do you remember any good ribs that he used to pull in the locker room?
It's funny
you
because
don't mind telling?
all the good ribs, he would always. You could always. It was weird because he would always set them up, and then he would point fingers at Davey and Owen.
Yeah,
it's exactly what your dad used to do. They were always brew, and then he'd be like, "They did it right there," and he would stick around long enough just to see the end of it, just to make sure. You know, he would start it, and then Davey and Owen would jump in and everything else. So he would always have a way up, and I can still see him walk in the locker room and go, "They did it right there," and just reach over and point and just walk right out. They did it right there. Owen and Davey did it, and he would just leave. So, you know, you could never catch him doing it, but you always knew he had something to do with it. So
when the rib was actually over and they actually was smarting up on the rib, you can always look over him and he's got that shit-eating grin on his face.
Grin on his face. Yep. It was so funny too because you know you would always know the Davey and Owen ribs because you know they were always the same ones. You know you either had your bag padlocked to a chair or a table, or somebody dropped a stick bomb and stepped on it while you were talking to, Vince or yep. But you could always tell when, something that was coming that was a little off the wall. I don't know if your dad had something directly to do with it, but it was the one time when Mark Henry was on crutches.
Uh-oh. And
Davey or Owen hit his crutches, and I think your dad went up to Mark Henry and go, "Hey, Vince needs you on the other side of the arena." So of course Mark's looking for his crutches and he can't find them. And coming from, Daniel's dad, he's going to be like, "Holy shit, I need to get over there." So Mark gets his ass up and starts hopping all the way across the arena. And there's no Vince over there at all. And then he has to hop all the way back, and you can just see, you know, at that time Percy was always one that he'd be just sitting in that chair and he'd have his arms crossed on his chest and you'd see him jump, you know, his stomach just jumping up and down. He was trying to hold back his laugh, you know, from just, you know, and, you know, I always knew, I think it was those three always used to team up, and, you know, it was so funny, because I still remember seeing Mark's face as he's hopping across the arena trying to get to the other side to see what Vince wants, because he didn't want to keep Vince waiting, and the only person that would make him hop across that would be, you know, Percy, by going up to him and saying, hey, Vince needs you on the other side of the, you know, over there. Oh, you know, I can still see Mark go, where? Oh, on the other side of the arena. That was the same time that somebody went to Subway and got Mark Henry the meatball sandwich. Daniel, do you remember this?
I've heard it, but
you
refresh me.
Everybody was going out. Mark was on crutches because he was training, and he broke his leg in the ring training. You know, everybody remembers when Mark first started, he broke his leg.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody's going to Subway and getting something to eat. So Mark wanted a meatball sandwich. Now, the rumor that I heard is that they took off the meatballs and replaced it with a, you know what I'm saying, a human turd.
Yeah.
And then
that area. Oh my God.
You know, and then they put the sauce back on it and everything else. And from what my understanding is, he had a couple bites of it.
Oh my God.
I don't know who directly, you know, orchestrated that rib. I'm sure it wasn't something that, you know, Percy did or anything else, but it was still around the same time where, you know, Mark was on the brunt of lots of ribs, you know, when he first got in, because he was one of the guys that came in from no wrestling background and everything else, because he came out of the Olympics.
Yep.
Contract. So, of course, you know, the boys, he had a big, giant target on his back. So, you know, those are the two ribs that I know that directly happened to Mark Henry, and I'm pretty sure that Percy had him hopping all the way across to the other side of the arena trying to look for Vince. And I'm pretty sure there's six.
But you know what, though? We definitely. I know it's past like midnight over in your guys' area, but Glenn, I do appreciate you taking time to come on and reminisce with us on here about some good times. And I know that Daniel definitely appreciates it, as we do. And
I would never miss a chance to talk about his dad at all. Never.
You know, it's funny.
I would never pass it up.
One of the first ones to volunteer to come on and do this. So yeah, that means a lot, and I know it means a lot to him as well.
Definitely.
I just appreciate having the time to talk to, you know, Daniel and everybody, to let everybody know that, you know, there's very few legends and icons that we have, and your dad was definitely one of them.
I appreciate that very much, man.
You know, I just hope, you know, with all the outpouring of, you know, respect that you had from the fans and, you know, from the other wrestlers and everything else, I hope that, you know, helped with, you know, the loss. And, you know, nothing's ever going to replace him, but we always have all these fond memories of him, and, you know, he'll be with us forever, with all of us.
Definitely.
Amen to that.
Definitely.
You know. But,
well, you know what? That's cool. You know, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, and we'll go ahead and let you go from here now, so you can get some rest and enjoy the rest of your birthday.
All right, Daniel. It was great talking to you, man. Stay in touch.
Thanks, Glenn. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Keep in touch. I got Facebook. You got my Facebook. Keep in touch, brother.
All right. Good talking to you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Good night, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was awesome. And, man, I don't think I ever laughed so much right now just hearing some of these stories.
What a guy Glenn is, man. You know, whenever I would go on trips with my dad and everything, going up there on the summertime, him and Chaz would always take me under their wing, just like Edge and Christian would. And what great guys they are, man. And I really, really, really enjoyed that.
It was definitely, like you said, about the brotherhood, and it sounded like during those times it was a real family atmosphere. And that's
definitely.
I know that I read a lot of what's said, and it's people say it's what's missing now, and it's not so much even the WWE, because I know, at least from following him on Twitter, that Percy was definitely very, very close to Jeff Jarrett.
Yes.
And I know Jeff and him would constantly talk on Twitter about the I guess the Alabama football team.
Yeah.
And even I can remember that your dad showed up in TNA briefly. It was a couple appearances in the early years of the company. So yes, I mean, he wasn't just in WWE. He wasn't just in Dallas. He appeared in TNA as well. And I know that they honored him as well. I mean, they paid their respects to him. And as you mentioned, they've reached out to you as well. So that just shows you that everywhere, globally, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, did Ring of Honor even reach out to you guys as well?
Not that I know of. I know a few guys that I've been on shows with that worked for Ring of Honor. They did, but not the company. No, I haven't. That's one thing that I did miss, because even though that I'm in the business, I'm always going to be a mark, and I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor and FIP and all those local, those different independent organizations that that will build your way up to TNA or WWE and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was one company that something I didn't hear nothing from at all, and it kind of saddened me that didn't hear nothing from them.
Well, you know what though, that I'm sure that the guys who have worked with your dad, like even when the headbangers were even there for a brief time, and they're one of the ones who worked with your dad. Same thing with, and I could be wrong, I'm not sure if Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin got to work with your dad a little bit.
Jim Cornette.
Jay Lethal, him and my dad were real good friends. He would always, anytime he talked about Jay Lethal, he'd always put him over like $1 million. And that was another guy that reached out and emailed me and everything like that. So that there's a few guys that that did, and I was happy with it. But what can I say?
You know what though? I was just going to go ahead and play a quick clip here from his time in Dallas. As we go ahead and go to a quick commercial here, real quick. He was being interviewed by Bill Mercer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on hold for just a second.
Wrestling, particularly Rick Rude, the former World Heavyweight Champion. I understand that you have a very impressive man coming in.
Well, impressive is right, Mr. Bill Mercer. As a matter of fact, I've heard some rumors that you don't like me. Do you realize it's been 6 months since I've been invited to stand at ringside with you and to talk with the people? Do you realize it's been 6 months?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, you don't like me, do you?
No,
you just like the rest of these people down here. Yeah, I know. You pick sides. I know all about you.
All right.
By the way, we do have a new man, as a matter of fact, and all you got to do is go out to the newsstands, pick you up a wrestling magazine, and you're going to see the face of Joe LeDuc. Come on, cameraman. If you can work them things there, I want you to get a little bit closer right here. Joe LeDuc, the Canadian lumberjack. Mr. Mercer, this is the most awesome man in professional wrestling. I have seen him pull a locomotive by a chain with his bare hands on a railroad track. I've seen him pick up the back of a car. You see about people not liking me?
I see what you say. All right, we're going to look forward to Joe LeDuc. Let's talk a minute about the fact that Rick Rude has a rematch coming up, trying to regain the World Heavyweight Championship.
That's right. He does have a rematch. The rematch should have been a long time ago. It should have been right after the little incident at the 4th of July. I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Mercer. Mr. Chris Adams is a habitual liar. He's running around telling lies, and world-class wrestling ain't doing nothing but backing him up. One thing they wouldn't do for me. Chris Adams is giving title match to other people. He's giving matches to Japanese people. He's giving matches to other people. But we should be the number one in line. And one more thing is Gary Hart. I want you people to realize I want you to understand.
Now, he doesn't like you.
That I don't care about anybody unless they are in the Pringle dynasty. As far as Gary Hart's concerned, the magazines are putting out pictures, Gary Hart's picture right next to Percy Pringle's picture. I'll tell you what I think about Gary Hart. Gary Hart means nothing to me. There's Gary Hart. I don't care who you are. If you're not in the Pringle dynasty, you don't mean a thing at all. That goes for you too, Mercer.
All right, now, you said I didn't like you. That's not true. But I got some fan mail from Mobile, Alabama.
I'm sure you
Your
did,
hometown.
because that's my hometown. Don't you see my Channel 15 in Mobile? Yes,
and they
sir.
said, please quit mentioning that you were from Mobile because you were giving the city a bad name.
That's some more of your stuff, Mercer.
Oh, it's bad.
I'm sick and tired of you, just like I'm sick and tired of these people. You're going to see something new in the Pringle dynasty, brother. Rick Rude, Joe LeDuc, and there's no telling what other surprises I have in store for you. Gary Hart, get out of my way. Mobile, I love you.
And they don't love you. Come back and see us in 6 months, Percy.
Yeah,
okay. All right, Mobile, we've passed on the world.
Percival Pringle getting interviewed by Bill Mercer. You can't beat that. And you know what? That was hilarious. What'd you think about that?
See, putting over Mobile, Alabama. He loved it. He loved the Mobile, man.
He did. And he definitely showed it in that interview there. And I hope you enjoyed that. I know I definitely, every time I hear it, I get a kick out of it because he loved to tell that guy how it is and how he didn't like him and so forth, and he put him in his place. But the last guest, as I mentioned, as advertised, is NWA President Bruce Tharpe. He unfortunately was not able to join us tonight. However, we do have some pre-recorded comments that we took of him that from just recently, and he actually wanted to state how he felt about your father. It is a little bit lengthy, so I'm going to go ahead and play it now. It's not very long, but I hope you enjoy it. Here we go, guys.
I have always referred to Percy. I met him in the summer of 1985. Is the first time that I met Percy. Met him in Florida. And he was managing as Percival Pringle III. And I had been in law school about a year at the time. And I started law school in May of 84. So in the summer of 85, after I'd been in law school a full year and was very tired of it, I went home for went back to Tampa, Florida for a little vacation. And, of course, I had to go down to the Fort Homer Hesterly Armory and see all my old friends and, go to the dressing room and see the boys and whatnot. And turns out Wahoo McDaniel was the booker at that time. And so that's where I first met Percy. It was right there in Tampa. And I was so tired of law school at that time, I told Wahoo, I said, hey, Chief, if I come back down for the summer, can you book me? I mean, I can referee, I can announce, whatever you need. He said, sure, I'll book you, kid. Come on back home. So I flew back to Texas, packed up all my things. Instead of going to school over the summer session, I came back to Florida, and I refereed full-time for Wahoo for about 3 months. And I loved it. I was on the road 7 nights a week, and that's where Percy and I really sort of developed our bond. And got a funny story to relate about Percy. I remember that we were in Fort Myers, Florida at the time, and I was refereeing, and what a great summer that was. Spending every day on the beach, going to the gym with the wrestlers. I was in great shape back then. And I remember, I don't recall Wahoo being in the dressing room, but I think that Lynn Denton, who was wrestling as the grappler, and Percy was managing at that time, I think he was the assistant booker, because I recall getting the finish of the match from Lynn Denton and Percy. And I don't know if I think Lynn was probably ribbing me at the time, but he was giving me this finish. Forget who he was wrestling. But, of course, I was refereeing the match. And at the time, I was living in Houston, going to law school. I was working for Paul Bosch. And I was, of course, a lot younger and thinner and better looking back then. I was doing some modeling on the side, for print ads and stuff like that. So all the boys in the dressing room knew that, and they would tease me about it and stuff. But I remember that Len Dent was giving me the finish, and he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. He goes, somebody's going to come off the top. They're going to hit you. Actually, it was Len that was going to come off the top. Babyface was going to move. He was going to hit the referee. I was going to take a ref bump. And then he says, we're going to do something really exciting, kid. We're going to get a little color on the referee tonight. And I looked at Percy, and I looked at Len, and I go, not for a $50 payoff am I going to scar my head. So Percy recalls, and actually went through with the match. And boom, Len came off the top rope. Babyface moved out of the way. He hit me with a headbutt. I didn't feel a thing. I went down. And then Len, I'm sure to rib me, rolls around and then grabs me as I sits me up. And then with his fingernail, he sort of scrapes me across the forehead with his fingernail. And he tells me in the ring, he says, don't move. Don't move. And he scrapes me with his fingernail, So Percy recalls that. If Percy was here to tell the story, he would recall that I howled like a banshee when that happened. I don't recall that part of the story. But that was always the part that Percy would remind me of. He was at ringside, of course, and what a great guy he was. We spent a lot of time on the road together, a lot of time drinking beer together, a lot of time talking about our families together, laughing together. And after that summer, I went back to Texas, and he also went to Texas, went to Dallas. However, our paths didn't cross. And in fact, it was 20 years until I saw Percy again. Saw Percy again, I believe, in 2005. But he had kept track of me while I was an attorney and heard of some of the things that I was doing. And, of course, I kept track of Percy because I watched him on WWE television. And I would, tell my wife at the time, that's my friend. Look, see that guy that's coming out with The Undertaker? That's my friend. And, the word friend is used very loosely these days, especially sometimes in the wrestling business. But when you share, the road with somebody and you spend time with them, and you develop those friendships, those don't go away. And to illustrate that, it was 20 years went by, and I saw Percy again at the Gulf Coast reunion in Mobile, Alabama. And it was like it was like we hadn't seen each other in about a week. 20 years was nothing. Hugged my neck, and we talked about the old days and whatnot. And, what a great person, what a great guy Percy was and is. And I'm very fortunate and proud to have been able to call him, my friend. He's a great guy. And one last thing I will tell you about Percy is, Percy had a relationship with the Lord. So I know Percy's in heaven. I know that Percy's in heaven, and that I know that I'll see him again.
And that was a message from NWA President Bruce Tharp. I hope you enjoyed that, Daniel. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
That was very heartfelt, very nice. And he definitely took some time out of his busy schedule to do that because he's a busy man. But that was very cool. I didn't realize that he had met NWA President back then. And yeah, I hope I enjoyed doing the interview with him, and I hope you enjoyed the comments he had to say. But that being said, I want to ask Austin, did you have any questions to ask at all about his wrestling career at all, or even his dad?
Yeah, well, Percy, your father, he managed so many of the greatest legendary professional wrestlers of all time, champions. And that's what, what made whoever he managed stand out, like, for example, The Undertaker. But I want to ask you a question, and it's, Do you think that if without Paul as being his father, do you think the Undertaker wouldn't have gone as far as he is now? Because I don't think he would.
Undertaker and Paul Bearer was a package. If there was no Paul Bearer, there'd be no Undertaker. If there was no Undertaker, there'd be no Paul Bearer.
They said it right there.
It was a package deal. They made each other.
That, you know what, and even people who worked in the business, like King said, you know, in his comments about your dad, that it just worked so much better. They worked like it gelled so well together. You know, the character of Paul Bearer, and it came out better. And it's no offense to Bruce Pritchard, who portrayed Brother Love at the time. He needed somebody to guide him in the right direction, because truly, some people would say the Undertaker character was probably one of Vince's greatest creations, if not the greatest creation he had of a character. And to bring along somebody who could talk, because Undertaker's character was not meant to talk very much. Your dad was top notch. He came across, and when I remember seeing him come on, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? And I didn't know what to think of him at first, and then all of a sudden it just worked. He came out and he scared people, just like then you heard in the intro. People were scared, and I definitely was intrigued, because when Undertaker beat Hogan back in '91, I was like, wow. And then to hear Bobby and Gorilla do commentary back then about the Undertaker and Paul, everything was just perfect. I mean, his character was, what's the word I'm looking for? He couldn't feel pain. He had the thing with the urn, you know, and it's just like everything sold. It would just fit like a puzzle, you know. Every missing piece came into play, and it just worked so well. And he got to work, and guys like Bobby and Gorilla got to put him over so well. And especially Bobby. Gosh, I love Bobby, listening to him on commentary. Those are some good times.
And when Paul came back in 2010 to WWE, it was a storyline thing with the Undertaker versus Kane. When he came back in the arena, I was sitting at home watching this. You just feel like that you know, when Paul Bearer is his presence on television just comes out of the screen, you know, and you can't get that feeling like anywhere else except for, you know, with Paul. It's you know what I'm talking about. It's just that, you know, the presence. I can't even describe it.
Some people got it and some people don't, and that's definitely one thing that I've noticed everybody say is that Paul Bearer had it. He definitely had it, and he knew, whether he was Paul Bearer or Percival Pringle the third, he knew how to get his guys over. And I got just a couple of clips left. I mean, maybe at the very most 2. And if you're okay with that, I'd like to play them and go from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All righty. And here is some classic Paul Bearer moments.
We got a problem here, Mr. Paul Bearer. This man's been missing since November. We think foul play's involved. You're our number one suspect.
But why me, Detective Totoro?
We got eyewitnesses that have put you at the crime scene and got your fingerprints all over the coffin.
But I didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, yeah? Then why you been hiding?
Hiding? I haven't been hiding.
What about the dress?
Dress? What dress?
What was that?
Yes! Oh, yes!
Hey, put those back on.
Undertaker, the hell you claim to be living in for the past 20 years is nothing compared to the life of your brother. He's alive. And next week, I'm going to prove it. It's all over. Now we'll come to Tombstone. Oh, my God. Wait a minute. It's Paul Bear. He just ripped the door off his pigeon. What's this? Oh, my. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Kane. Welcome to your worst nightmare. I can't believe my eyes. It is Paul Bear. He's holding an urn.
A very surreal environment that we are all experiencing here in the garden.
Now that was awesome. I could hear you laughing there because I can remember that particular scene during the mid '90s when Undertaker went missing, and he came out and he did that scene with Nick Turturro and Mr. Fuji.
Yeah.
And somehow Fuji ended up in the dress. That is still a classic moment. I still remember watching that on TV when it first came on.
Yeah. I just posted one of those on my Facebook, one of those memories just last night.
Was it that one with when Brother Love introduced him?
Yeah, that one and
the one with Jerry Lawler.
Mr. Fuji. And and the one with Jerry Lawler.
That was hilarious. I've seen that. That was great.
That was wonderful. He said, he told me that was one of the greatest little vignettes that he did. Oh man, what a great one!
And going back to what Austin had mentioned earlier about 2010, how he had come back and he joined forces with the Undertaker to get him back and get his re-energized after being in a vegetative state, and so forth, only to turn on him at Hell in the Cell. Here is a clip that was just so well done. And he didn't need Kane to be there at all. He didn't need Undertaker, whatever. This is just Paul Bearer issuing a challenge to the Undertaker. Here we go.
Undertaker, the time for the final reckoning is nigh as I present the instrument of your ultimate destruction. I offer you one last opportunity to take back the Holy Grail in a fight with my son, the devil's favorite demon, King. It's really simple. The winner will be World Heavyweight Champion, and the loser will be buried alive. Yes, there shall indeed be a gravesite at Bragging Rights, where you will meet your end inside its lonely depths. I know you will accept my offer, because the deadly sin of pride has always been your downfall. It was pride, Undertaker, that made you so vulnerable to your brother's attack, which put you into a vegetative state on Memorial Day. It was pride that led to your humiliation by Kane at the Night of Champions, and it was indeed your pride that allowed me to fool you and shatter you alongside my son at Hell in a Cell. Undertaker, because of your pride, you will be beaten, broken, and incapacitated, and that will be only the beginning. Next, while you still are drawing breath, you will be pitched down a filthy pit, a grave for the damned, a wormhole with room enough only for you to squirm and suffer. By then, my son Kane will have earned the glorious privilege of scooping up the earth and covering the phenom shovelful by shovelful. The dirt shall gather and rise on all your flesh until you are drowned in a hell of dirt and darkness. Wait patiently, for this is your destiny. Kane's plan is almost complete. When we arrive tonight and Kane calls you to destiny's door, the whole world will see the empty shell of a man you have become as the devil's favorite demon towers over you.
so well done. So well done. I mean, I don't even think he probably had to I don't know if he had to rehearse at all for that, but I mean, he just, when the camera's on, lights, camera, he went on. That was awesome.
The gift of gab.
Yes, sir. That is one thing is for sure. He definitely had it. And I wanted to actually ask you, because I remember him saying in other interviews that he did, as 2010 was coming to a close, he actually got to work with Edge and Kane, and Edge had him tied up and it was like literally torturing him, throwing things at him, stuck him in a freezer. Your dad always said he that was probably some of the most fun times he did in his returns that he's had. He had so much fun because he really didn't have to do much except yell, "Kane, help me, Kane!"
Yeah,
you know?
only thing he had to do was sell. He said the one thing that hurt the most is when they did the dodgeball gimmick. When he was sitting in the wheelchair, and Edge kept throwing the dodgeball at him over and over and over. He said that was one of the most painful things that he has ever done.
Yikes. I can't even imagine. How many takes did they have to do for that? Do you know? Or did he just do it in one?
I have no clue. I know that he said that it was one of the most painful segments
I can imagine he probably had to do it a few times.
It looked painful.
Yeah. But that was he always mentioned how much fun he had and how much he respected Edge and working with Kane, and even both Paul and Undertaker had said that Kane was just so talented. I don't think he even realizes how talented he really is.
Right.
You know, because that's one thing I know. Your dad always put over Kane quite a bit.
What a great guy he is, man.
Have you actually gotten to talk to him too a little bit? I know that you said you talked to Undertaker.
Yeah, definitely, man. I was more close to Kane there for a while than I was Undertaker. They both came down for the funeral and the wake and all that kind of stuff, and we actually got to sit down and talk and catch up and everything like that. Yeah, but what great guys both of those guys are, man. They're so completely different than what you see on TV.
I can imagine. I can definitely imagine, and I know that they held your father near and dear to their heart, because I know that there were characters that they worked so closely with your dad for a number of years, and getting to work with even champions like Rick Rude. So your dad got to work with Rick Rude before he was ravishing Rick Rude in the WWF.
Right.
I mean, Rick Rude got to work with guys like Bobby and Paul Heyman, I should say, and back then I guess he was Percy Pringle, but he had to, if I'm not mistaken, he managed. He had some. Gosh, I'm trying to think back. My memory is horrible. During the times that's when he actually got to be really close with Michael Hayes, and was close probably ever since then during his days in Texas. Isn't that right?
Well, no, he actually grew. He grew up with Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes lived here in Florida, in Pensacola, and my dad was in Mobile, and they would go on to these local wrestling shows, carry bags in, set up the ring, pass out programs, anything they could do to get their foot in the door, and that's how they met Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Robert Gibson from Rock and Roll Express. And our wrestling cousin, Gulf Coast legend around here, Marvelous Marcel Pringle. And they all grew up together, man. They, like I said, from just like everybody else starting in the business, you had to start from the bottom, and that's exactly what they did.
Very true, very true. And maybe I missed that part. I didn't realize that they'd actually grown up basically together and been good friends even before their days in WWF.
Yep.
And it's funny because I didn't know this until then, but in how Glenn was telling about some of the stories of the kids in the back, and I guess you were part of some of them ribs that they were doing to some of them kids, huh?
Unfortunately.
But see, what's funny is it may not have been funny then, but you can look back on it and just laugh your ass off right now. Because it's just good times.
I've got picture books of all the guys that I've met throughout the years and everything like that. It's good memories to look back on, and it's kind of even bittersweet to sit my 5-year-old daughter down and let her look through those and and stuff like that. Like Glenn was saying with him and talking to my dad on Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff about my dad talking about his grandkids. And my brother has two daughters. One is going on 9, and the other one's 2, and my daughter is 5 years old. And that was his grandkids was his twinkle in his eyes. And
yes, he did post a lot of pictures a lot of the times on Twitter, about Pawpaw getting to see his grandbabies, and those were like the angel of his eyes, the angels, all three of them. Those, if anything else, he spoke highly of his boys, but he loved his grandbabies. That is different. I do remember reading that.
And it's bittersweet, now that he's gone, and they're actually realizing that he's gone, that we can, anytime that we want to, most people, when family members and everything die, you've only got pictures. You've only got there's only so much you can do to keep a memory alive. And thank God that my dad was a world famous person. And all the thing you got to do is go on YouTube and type in Percy Pringle Paul Bear or anything, and there's memories right there. And it's bittersweet to actually sit down with your own flesh and blood, like you did with me, and sit back and let her watch some of the stuff that he did before I was alive, and stuff before she was alive, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like people say, it's hard, and it's not exactly getting better per se.
Yeah.
It's getting easier to cope with, because it's there for the last, when he died in February in March, it was just like he was going on a trip, and he was on a booking, and he would be home. And now that my daughter and my 2 nieces are realizing that he's actually gone, that's one of the toughest things that that we're going through.
And as you mentioned, as each passing day comes, it doesn't get easier, or it doesn't get. I mean, it's hard to cope with, but it gets easier to understand certain things,
right?
And realize that with the memories that you have, it's like you said. Thank God for the technology that we have today, because and the fact that your father was so globally known that even though he's gone, he's never really far from your hearts and always right there for you to watch on online.
Right.
And
just like the NWA president was saying just a second ago, whenever he had made that statement, my dad was a religious man, and he is in heaven, and he's sitting right there with my mom, happy as can be, because once my mom passed away, it was hard on him for a very long time. And now
he did mention that too.
He's sitting up there with her, and happy as can be, looking down on us, saying thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your father was quite a man, and he spoke so highly of your mother as well. God bless them both. And you know what? They're watching over their their family, their children, their grandchildren, and just smiling as can be, as happy because they know that you guys are doing good, and you guys are going to be fine. And you guys have a lot of love coming your way from people all over the world.
Definitely. And we appreciate that so much.
And that's one of the main reasons that I was talking to Austin, and when we'd come to the decision to do this, and the fact that you had accepted it meant the world to both of us, and that's why we wanted to make sure that above anything else, we made the show especially for you, because this was a man that you grew up with, your father, you looked up to him, you admired him, and not to mention the fact that you got to reminisce with people who worked with him and realize that what a mighty good man he was. I thought you might like that.
I really appreciate it, and I appreciate y'all having me on tonight. And thank you very much. Any time that y'all need somebody, give me a ring, man. I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely. It was indeed a pleasure to have you on and get to have you listen to some clips that we chose, and just so happens we happen to choose one that just kind of stuck out to you about your old buddy that when you with the promo your dad did with you and your buddy there. So it was good to reminisce a little bit. And again, on behalf of Austin and myself, we thank you for taking time. And I know it's way past your bedtime now.
And much respect for you actually agreeing to do this. It's you're such a great person, man, and much respect for you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you both for doing it. It really means a lot.
But like you said, when it comes right down to it, bottom line, we're wrestling fans, and we're not afraid to admit it, and we definitely wanted to honor somebody that we held in high respects. And we're glad you were able to hear how we felt about him and hear what others felt about him as well. And for that being said, Daniel, not a problem at all. I hope you enjoy your night, get some rest, and you take care, and we'll definitely look to having you on sometime in the near future.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. You have yourself a good night.
Have a good night, man.
All right.